What's going on, Freight Skills? In this video, we are going to be helping out all of the sales agents that watch this channel. I'm going to tell you exactly the 5 most important things that you need to look for in your agent contracts. So number 1, see if it's a good deal. 2, see if you're getting ripped off. And 3, make sure that you are going to a good home, because when you're signing on as an agent, you want to make sure that the brokerage backing you up has the tools, the resources, the know-how, all of that great stuff to be able to help you grow your book of business. So before we get into those top 5 things, make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video so that it can get out to more people. I don't want any agents getting ripped off, right? I want you guys making tremendous deals, and the only way you're gonna do that is if you know what these 5 things are. So let's get right into number 1. What is the number 1 thing that you need to look for if you're an agent going to a brokerage? So let's talk about how this process works. First of all, when you want to sign on with a brokerage as an agent, what you are basically doing is doing an exchange. You're saying, I'm going to provide work, I'm going to help bring more customers to the business in exchange for a commission. The brokerage is going to allow you to use their bond and their MC number in order to solicit the business and book the freight. Okay, so there's a trade-off. The brokerage doesn't have to do any work to find customers. They're paying you a commission in order to do that work for them, but you don't have any of the liability that the brokerage owner has, right? Because you don't have to worry about insurances, licenses, active authorities, filling out paperwork, government stuff, taxes, well, your own taxes, but you get what I mean. There's a trade-off there. But agents work as usually 1099 contractors. And what that means is that as a 1099 contractor, you have different obligations and rights than if you were an actual employee. One of those is that the brokerage owner hiring you as a 1099 contractor cannot dictate when you have to work. So by law, if you sign on as an agent, that brokerage cannot call you and ask you why you're still in bed at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. They can't. If you don't work, you don't eat because you're getting commission. But the brokerage owner cannot tell you what to do. They can end their agreement at any time according to their terms, but they can't dictate when you're working and all that stuff, okay? So anyway, that's how agents work. Before you sign as an agent, they're going to send you a contract. So you found a brokerage, you vibe with the owner or the hiring manager and you say, I want to sign on as an agent with you guys. They're going to send you an onboarding contract. In that contract, there are 5 things you need to look for, or you at least need to get the answer to these questions before you sign and put your name on that paper. Number 1 is going to be the non-compete. As a brokerage owner, my contract has a non-compete. If you will not sign a non-compete, you are not going to work for me. But before you say, oh, Lewis, you're evil, you're not letting people work, let me explain the difference between mine and a lot of the other brokerages out there. Our non-compete is not called a non-compete. It will never restrict somebody from working. It will never restrict someone from acting in the industry for any amount of time. But what it will do is have a sense of confidentiality for any work that is built up within our brokerage name. We have worked 20 years to build a reputation and a brand in the industry. So if any business is gained on the back of our name, all we ask is that if you leave the brokerage, you stop soliciting that business because we're going to do it anyway. It's not really a non-compete in the sense that we're stopping people from working. It's a non-compete in the sense that we need to protect our intellectual property. So if anything happens inside of our walls, it stays inside of our walls. If you come with your own book of business, that's not protected by our non-compete because you brought it to us. Now, there are ways we can keep it, but in general, we're more interested in preserving relationships. Back to what you need to look for. You need to look at the non-compete agreement that is in the agency agreement that you're sent. Number 1, if nothing's there, that's great. You're free and clear. If there is something there, you need to make sure that you're not going to be restricted based off of geography or time. So for example, if you want to leave a brokerage and the non-compete says you can't work in the industry for a year, or you can't work for any brokerages in the United States, that's going to be a problem. Non-competes are usually not enforceable, but they're really a headache to fight, and it requires you hiring a lawyer, and most people will really just back down before they actually see one through. I personally have fought 3 on the other side, right? So like I've hired somebody and I've gotten sued. One of the lawsuits costs upwards of $40,000, $50,000, and we didn't get anything back from it. But we got the employee, the agent rather, is happy, doing amazing. So it was worthwhile investment for us. So that's number 1. the non-compete agreement. Make sure it's fair, or make sure there's nothing at all. Now, the second most important thing that you need to look for in your agency agreement is the profit split. Sales draw, any kind of compensation. You want to make sure that you're getting a fair profit split. Now, what is fair profit split? That completely depends on the type of freight that you're moving. If you're primarily moving dry van freight, hazmat, reefer, LTL, all that stuff, you should be in the ballpark of 50 to 60% average for an experienced agent. If you're inexperienced, you should look anywhere between 30 and 50%. Anything less than 30% will not fly nowadays, but I'll give you like another example of why it matters. Some of the jobs that we do are oil field relocations, and one job can make 6 figures in profit because it's like 100 truckloads. If we're giving out 80% commission on 100 truckloads, we'll go bankrupt because the cash flow just won't work, right? So you have to look at the type of freight that you're going after. 5% of $1 million deal looks really low on paper, but $1 million deal, 5%, that's a lot of money, right? You want to be in the ballpark of between 50 and 60%. I've seen some brokerages go up as high as 80, but just so you know, the higher the commission percentage, the more likely that brokerage owner does not know what the heck they're doing, because there's no cash flow there. I could do another video on that whole concept, but if a brokerage is giving away a high percentage, there's something wrong. They either don't know what they're doing, they're poor, they're cash poor, and they can't afford to pay their agents, or they're running some kind of a Ponzi scheme and they're not going to be along for very long. Okay, so watch out for the high commissions. Look for 50 to 60%, 70%. You might see that once in a while. So that's number 2. Look for the sales commission. Number 3 is going to be back office support. You need to make sure that the brokerage you're going to is providing some kind of back office support, and ask questions about what that looks like. Back office support is simply the administration. Do they have somebody to help you get invoices from carriers? Do they have an accounting department that's on time with their billing? Are they financially stable enough to pay carriers? You should check their credit score and see. How long have they been in the industry? How long has the owner been in the industry? And does the owner have any employees that are going to be able to help you when something happens? Okay, you want to make sure that the brokerage you're going to has some level of back office support for you. If you're doing everything, and I actually just learned this term, it's called cradle to grave. If you're doing everything cradle to grave, then you should be getting a really high commission percentage. At some point, it's just going to be worth it to go off on your own. Okay, so if you want to be an agent, the brokerage you're signing on with has to give you something back in return. They have to be able to pay their bills, and they have to have some level of support when you need help. Okay, so that's number 3. Look for that back office support. Number 4 is a question that you're going to want to ask the brokerage owner or whoever's bringing you on board. One of the most important things as a sales rep is being able to get paid for the work that you perform. Sometimes a brokerage will hold payments from their agents until they get paid from their customers. And this is both good and bad. It's good for the brokerage because they're not outlaying extra cash. It's bad for the agent because the agent needs a really high volume of work to maintain their cash flow. Optimally, you want to find a brokerage who will pay out their commissions with agents on the invoicing. You want to ask this question. You want to say, how long does it take between the time you receive all the paperwork and invoice your customer to me getting my check? Just rewind that. Let's say it again. How long does it take between you receiving the invoice and POD to me receiving my check? That's the answer that you want. You want that to be between 1.5 to 2 weeks. Reason is, you need cash coming in. If you're doing work in January, you cannot wait to get paid until March. That's not how it works. The brokerage has you doing all of the work for them, and the sales side, they need to put some skin in the game too by fronting you your commissions. If they can't do that, go find another home. There are plenty of brokerages that can afford to do that. And the number 5 thing to look for in your brokerage agent contract or your agreement, whatever you want to call it, is the tools and tech that you're going to be provided as an agent. Are they giving you an email address? Are they giving you a phone number? Are they giving you the carrier packets? Are they giving you marketing materials so that you can advertise your services? What kind of tools and tech are they giving you, and are they making you pay for them? If a brokerage can't afford to pay your $70 per month load board or your $25 per month CRM, they are likely not a great candidate for you to be an agent. There are plenty of other brokerages out there where you might have to sacrifice some percentage points in commission but at least they can afford to pay you for your tools. So the reason I tell you all of this is because at some point, it's going to make more sense for you to just go off on your own rather than be an agent for a brokerage who's just skating by and can't really survive. So you can learn from this video if you're a brokerage owner and if you're an agent. If you're an agent, now you know what to look for. Brokerage owners, if you're bringing on agents, now you know what you need to provide. You need to provide stability, support, tools, arm your staff, arm your agents with everything that they need to do an amazing job. Because at the end of the day, a rising tide floats all boats, right? If a brokerage grows, everybody's going to benefit from that. So if you are an agent or a brokerage, I hope this helped you out. I'm going to do another video like this from the perspective of the brokerage owner of what you should put in your agent contracts to make them favorable to you and fair for them. At the end of the day, in logistics, there is no this side versus that side. We have to support working together. We have to support cohesion. That's the only way that logistics will run smoothly. Like, logistics is one of the most important industries in the country, probably in the world. Right? Without logistics, nothing moves, nothing happens. Stuff doesn't get made, stuff doesn't get transported. So if the logistics industry is battling themselves, it's only going to cause problems for the rest of the world. And it might not sound like a big deal if one brokerage isn't playing by the rules, but that has a really bad ripple down effect, and it can end up affecting a lot more than you can see on the surface. Okay, so that's just like my little part. Make sure you do your part to make this industry fair, honest, transparent, and everything that it should be for the good of the world. Now, before you go, always make sure you go down to the comment section and comment your biggest takeaway. You could ask me a question about a agent packet that you just got. You can ask me to review one of your contracts. I'll take some time and I'll do that from some of the people who comment on this video. You could ask me to look at your contract as a broker, make sure that you're being fair to your agents. Anything you want, just make sure you leave me a comment below, because what that does is that reinforces everything that you just learned so that you remember it. When you pick out one of these details and you comment down below what you picked out, you're gonna go to sleep tonight and you're gonna remember what you commented, right? And if you could just take one thing out of each video that I post, I promise you're gonna be in a better place than you were before you watched the video. All right, so with that said, before we sign off completely, make sure you go down to the comment section below. There's gonna be a big link. It's gonna say free group. Click that link, fill out your info. I'll send you an invite, join my group. That's where I hang out all day. I answer questions, hang out with brokers, hang out with carriers. There's a bunch of people in there in the same industry as you, and I would love to have you on board as well. If you want more access to ask me questions, that's the place to do it. All right, so that's gonna be right down below. I can't wait to see you in there. I can't wait to see you on the next video. And until that time, I'll see you soon.